Okay, I'm growing kind of fond of that little tune there. All right, first things first, before we do a roll call here, I need a comm check. Can somebody tell me how's the video and how's the audio before I proceed in a different location today? So I want to get a good sound check and make sure that everything is okay. Let's see what people come back with. 5 by 5. Okay. All right. Well, those guys are communicators, so they ought to know. Amy says Lima Charlie. All right. Let's see. Okay. 1 second here. Okay. Let's see who we got here. There's my cousin Toby. There's Lori just down the hallway, probably 12 feet away from me in another room. And let's see. Matt Aaron's in there. Aunt Mary's in there. Amy Walton's in there. Colin Krim. Katie Aaron, how are you doing, Katie? Put something in the chat there and let us know how you're doing. I know you're at the dock. Daryl's in there. Hey, Daryl. There's my dad, Mac Marine. He had a great weekend with one of the grandkids this weekend. Let's see. There's Lori asking about Katie. There's my buddy Ken. Hey, Ken. Steve Shirley's in there. Ken's in there, Matt's in there, Amy's in there, Daryl, Colin. Okay, I think I've got everybody. Jimbo Miller's in there. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so I'm under, you can see I got a little different background today. Lori and I made a trip down here to one of our favorite places, my Warriors place, just south of Tampa in Ruskin, Florida. We were just here in October, and we're back again under similar circumstances. We're going to be doing a thing for work out here next Friday, but we came early because there were a bunch of activities going on yesterday and today that I'll tell you a little bit about. Lori will be contributing in the chat there. So we drove down here on Friday and had a good drive down, made a pretty good time, 10 hours or so, I guess. Not too bad considering we did stop a few times. Of course, we have to stop at Buc-ee's, but okay, Katie says she's much better. Well, hey there, Amanda Duggar. How are you? We are in your neck of the woods. Good to see you in there. Hope you're doing well. Loving all the pics of your little girl, who is just one of the most active little toddlers. Good stuff. Good to have you in there. Yeah, so Lori and I came down. So we're staying here all week. We're going to be here through next Sunday. So we've still got a whole week left down here in at my Warriors place. The weather's absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And right now it's outside at 69 degrees, a little bit of a breeze, no humidity. Today was what, Lori? I don't think it hit 80 with a breeze and sunshine, just absolutely gorgeous. This is why people live here. And we're having a wonderful time, but we're staying in a different cottage. It's actually a mobile home, but very comfortable, very nice. We're staying in a different place than we normally stay in. We're normally in the Blue Cottage, which is a proper house and a little more room and whatnot. But anyway, Lori has stayed in this one before. Lori stayed in this one before, but we've not stayed here together. So I wasn't sure about the Wi-Fi, the internet, and all that stuff. And I'm glad that it's working well because I'm working from here. I'm not taking any time off until Friday. So I'm working here right out of this room and maybe a little bit out on the dock. We'll see how it goes. But I'm actually working. I'm not taking any time off. I got all kind of time I could take off, but I got some things I'm working on. My team's got some things that are due, and so I just decided, hey, I could work from anywhere. So we'll come on down here and do it. So yeah, so that's why it's a little bit of a different background. The audio, video, everything's a little bit different today. But hopefully everything works out good. I've got a lot to report. Let me see if I'm missing anything else in the chat here before we move on. Oh, Amanda. Okay, great. Well, I got a T-shirt for you, Amanda. We got some of our Day of Caring T-shirts coming. Actually, I had a whole box of them delivered here yesterday. So look forward to having you out here to work with us. We got about 20 or so. Amanda, I think you make 21. So we'll have a pretty good sized crowd, I think. And I'll be working with Kelly a little bit tomorrow, maybe Tuesday, and her staff out here to figure out exactly what they're going to have us do on Friday. So we're as prepared as possible for the group. So that'll be a lot of fun. The place looks great, though. The property looks better this visit than it did last visit, don't it, Lori? It was in need of a little bit of attention when we were here in October. The grounds, the maintenance of the grounds, but um, it looks in really good shape. So I don't know that we'll be doing much grounds work except over by the waterway where the docks are and the boat ramp. There's a mangrove over there that's right on the bank of the waterway, and we're gonna do some trimming of that, I believe. But I don't see a whole lot more, sort of grounds work to do. But we'll see as we get closer. All right, yeah, Toby, I saw that. Toby's nephew won state championship in wrestling, and I guess that was in his weight class down in Orlando. Good stuff. All right, let's see. Okay, just looking at the chat here, make sure I don't miss anything here. Okay, well, good, man. I'm glad y'all are here. I'm excited. We've got had a lot of activity over the last few days to report. Like I said, we'll be heading back on Sunday, and we've got on the way back on Sunday. We're planning. I need to look at the map, but we were told today by our new friend Molly that there's a Civil War cemetery in the town she lives in, Dover, Florida. I don't know exactly where it's at. If it's reasonably on the way home, we might swing by and catch that. But yeah, so this activity we had here at My Warrior's Place is one of her annual fundraisers, and typically the one that she's able to raise a good amount of funds for. It's called Battle of the Bay, and it goes really, it's all day Saturday, and then there was some activity today, but the whole gist of it is Battle of the Bay, land, sea, and air. So the land part is a scavenger hunt that teams can participate in. More about that in a minute. The sea part is a fishing tourney that they had. So teams can enter and go fish. And this time it wasn't by number of fish or weight caught. It was by number of species caught, and the winner caught 11 species. Pretty incredible, right out in Tampa Bay. So that's the sea part, and then the air part is a little fun little game called what is it called, Lori? It's called parachute drop, I guess, where you go up on the stilted house. There's a stilted house, and you go up there and you drop these. You've seen the little parachute men. They're about an inch high, and they're on a parachute, and you drop them, and they float down. You buy one of those for $5. You go up and you drop it, and you try to land on the bullseye, which is probably a 10 by 10 tarp with concentric rings and a bullseye, and you have to drop it down. Well, the closest to the bullseye, wins. And I dropped it, and unfortunately, during the window that Lori and I were doing that part of the game, the wind had picked up, and the wind just blew my guy completely off the target there. So better luck next time. That's a game that Lori has won before. She won it two years ago. So good stuff. Let's see. Okay, I'm just checking the chat there. I'm not sure who Lori is chatting with there, but she's got a good conversation going. We do need help in the scavenger hunt. The scavenger hunt. Hey, Amy, listen. I know how to do a scavenger hunt now, or at least I know the elements of it. And Lori and I were a team, and we kind of sucked a little bit, but at least now I know what you mean by a scavenger hunt, and I have some ideas. And the reason I'm talking to Amy is Amy made the CSEs, the radio maintenance guys. She declared that we would be in charge of the scavenger hunt. So I've got to get with Mike and all the others that were with us in San Antonio and put a game plan together. But I'll tell you, that was fun. We really had a good time. There were 5 teams. There were only 5 teams entered. Lori and I came in 4th place, and I wasn't really paying too much attention when they were announcing the winners, and they were given the team names, and ours was Speaking of Zane, and they started reading the team names and how many points they accumulated and everything, because you have to find different things or do different things during this. I guess it was about a 4-hour window, but Lori and I were just a 2-person team. There were some other teams that were 7 people. I think you could have a maximum of 7. But anyway, I'll explain all that later sometime. But when they were reading off the winners, I heard them say, "Speaking of Zane, 4th place," and I'm thinking, yes, we came in 4th place. Lori looked at me and said, "There's only 5 teams." So I'm like, well, at least we didn't come in last, and we are both still alive, but that was in question about the halfway mark. But Lori made a good observation that when we're not strangling each other, we do make a pretty good team. And there's a lot of logistics that you have to keep in mind. But we had a blast. That's such a great idea, the scavenger hunt. But the guys that won were part of the local chapter, one of the local chapters for the Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association, and they're really closely aligned with My Warriors Place. Do a lot of great things out here. So they kind of knew what they were doing, and they've done it before, and they had a really good strategy. Lori and I didn't, but we got the winners got 600 and something points, and Lori and I had 400 and something. So we didn't totally suck, but anyway, it was a lot of fun. So that was the Battle of the Bay, and then today there was a luncheon right here in the courtyard. Amanda, you'll be surprised to see what's been done out here since you and I and the team were out here. It's just a beautiful that whole gated the white fenced in area, the courtyard there that we worked on looks really nice, and it was awesome there today. We had barbecue brought in, and a singer, young man from actually from Henry County, Georgia, just south of Atlanta. And Kelly met him at one of these Gold Star family events, and he's a real patriotic guy. His name is Barry Michael. Barry Michael, you can look him up. Lori probably ought to maybe put his link on the Speaking of Zane Facebook group, because he's worth listening to. But he performed for an hour or so, and Lori got one of the CDs, and just a swell guy. And we had a really good time. We met some awesome people. We met the most people here so far on this trip, and we're only on the 3rd day than we've met on any of the other trips. Like I mentioned, at the scavenger hunt, which was at the Harley dealership, or started and finished at the Harley dealership in Brandon. We met a lot of the motorcycle groups and everything. But when we got back here, we met Bill Burkett. He's a retired Army Ranger, and his wife, I forget his wife's name, Lori, but he's a retired Army Ranger. I don't know what he does for work, but he's a big barbecue competitor. In fact, he's got a barbecue event coming up down here April 10th, and he's invited us to be his guests down here for that. So we'll have to see what the calendar looks like. But just a great guy. His wife is also a vet, an Iraqi combat vet, and she is a counselor, and she's on the board for My Warriors Place. And then we met Dick and Linda from Newton, Iowa. Dick and Linda were staying in the Blue Cottage where we normally stay, and we got our first chance to meet them yesterday when we came back over as part of the scavenger hunt. There was some items here at My Warriors Place you had to try to find and stuff like that. So we went over to over by where their cabin was, and they were sitting out on the porch, and we got to chatting with them and saw their Iowa plates. And the Lori, we were looking for, like, you had to count how many paddle boats are there at my Warriors place, take a picture of the Space Force flag, and things like that. And there was one thing on the list where you had to sing the Golden Girls theme song to an elderly woman. So um, Lori said, she asked Dick, she says, "How old's your wife?" And they're in their 70s. And she said, "Do you think she'd mind if I sang the song, We're on This Treasure Hunt?" So here these people are meeting us for the first time, and we're asking to sing a song to his wife. And Lori did. And so we got those points. That was a pretty high point score there with a bonus. But so we got to meet them, Dick and Linda. And then he's a 100% disabled Vietnam Army Vietnam vet, and just a great couple. Retired. They've been down here about 3 times now. Live in Iowa, but drive down here. Try to come down here every year. But had a great conversation with them this afternoon at the barbecue and everything. They're heading back tomorrow. And then we met John and Molly, who I mentioned. John and Molly are both retired Army, and Molly does the finances for my Warriors place, and that's her background. That's her real civilian job is in accounting and whatnot. And that's what she did in the Army. So she does the finances and keeps the books for my Warriors place. And her husband John, also retired Army. He's a boat captain too, so he does some of the boat trips for the veterans and stuff. And man, what a great couple! It was nice to meet them. And Molly, if you're there, I know Molly has joined the Speaking of Zane Facebook group, and I saw some of her posts today. And Molly, if you're looking in or watching the recording, it was great to meet you, and welcome to Speaking of Zane. And really was nice to meet you. All right, let's see. Who else did we meet? Oh, met a guy who was all decked out in Texas A&M gear, and sure enough, he was an A&M grad, and named David, and he served in the Army and then graduated from A&M. Just a cool story he had there. So we enjoyed meeting those folks so far, and just incredible. Let me check the chat here, make sure I don't miss anything here. Jim says he don't do too much swimming. No, I'm not a big swimmer. I'm not a big swimmer. Let's see. Just looking at the chat here. Okay, Lori's got the link there, barrymichaelmusic.com. Yeah, he had a really good song. He finished up with a song called, talking about why we stand for the national anthem, and just kind of a counterculture tune there, which of course everybody loved. Good stuff. Lori's welcome, and Molly there. All right, let's see. So what else did we do? We've been following, at least I have, in the evenings, following the situation in Ukraine, of course. I mean, we got a lot of troops moving around on the chessboard, and a lot of families that, of course, are, impacted by that. Friends and family. We've got a lot of folks at work. Some of my coworkers have children serving that have been deployed as a result, and so we need to keep all that in our thoughts and prayers for sure. I mean, it's a very, very complicated situation. Half of you wants to just, half of what's in you wants to just go and do everything we can militarily. Half of me says, why aren't the Europeans step up? It's in their own backyard. And why don't we do stuff more significantly on a diplomatic scale? The last thing I want, though, and I feel for those people, and watching and hearing some of the reports, if you can filter through what's real, what's not, because I'm not sure we know, but I feel for those people. Can you imagine your country being invaded? And I believe Putin ought to pay a big price for that for sure. But I don't know that we ought to spill any blood over it. I don't know. I never was like this before, but I've become a little bit more I don't know. I don't even know what the right word is, but I look at Afghanistan and look at all the lives lost and see where they're at now and wonder what the hell was it worth? Was it worth a life? An American life? Somebody that raised their hand and went and didn't come back, and what did we get for it? What did and you got to ask it. 20 years worth of that, and now we got this. What and then throw nuclear weapons into the whole thing. I don't know. It's incredible for sure. I feel for those people big time. I think we ought to be sending everything to them that we got. It looks like they're not afraid to stand up for themselves. That's for sure. But I tell you, um, I'm disappointed in the Germans and others, um, for sure. But anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox here because I know that everybody has differing opinions and whatnot. But I just hate to think that my son or daughter would have to go. Considering our track record sucks, no doubt about it. But I'm praying for those folks and I'm rooting for them. You guys may have heard, some of you that are aviation buffs. Um, there's a report. There are reports coming with some photos. Now we don't know what's true. I mean, both of those countries are capable of a disinformation campaign, no doubt about it. But there's reports coming out. If you're an aviation guy, you know what this is. That the world's largest cargo aircraft, the AN 225, has been destroyed. Um, my understanding is it was down for maintenance, um, and they couldn't get it out of there. And that's the only one in existence and the largest cargo plane in the world. And reports say that it is no more. Katie, that's another one. That's another one that's been disputed. And how do you know what's real? But yeah, I certainly hope that the Ghost of Kiev is legit. That's going to make a great movie someday. But well, time will tell. What all the truth is. But anyway, it's a tough one for sure. And we are not innocent in how we've arrived at this point for sure. And I said I was going to get off my soapbox here, and I am. But anyway, there's been a lot of missions being flown out of Mildenhall. You guys are probably watching Flight Radar or Flight Aware and some of the others. I'm not telling you anything that's classified or anything. It's freely available on the internet. But it looks like the RCs and associated tankers have been flying regularly, and tag teaming. Um, initially down into Ukraine earlier last week. And then since the invasion began, they've been holding up short in Poland and Romania. But you can follow them on Flight the RCs, um, and the WC. I believe the WC is currently at Mildenhall. That's the radiation sniffer. Only one of those left. They retired. I think, Steve, I think I got it right. The one that used to be an E that we used to fly converted to a WWC. That one's been decommissioned and taken to the boneyard. I think the other one is the one that's still in existence. Am I right with that, or am I thinking? Am I right with that, or am I thinking about Open Skies? They both may have that same situation, but anyway. Um, yeah. So yeah, 667. Okay, Steve. Yeah, I knew Steve would know. All right, so let's see. So keep that in your thoughts there. My weight loss journey. I'll tell you, I get a lot of comments from my coaches on video that say, "Man, what are you doing? Your face is thin." And well, it's not thin, thinner, I guess, but we started out pretty chubby. But I'm sort of still stuck in that 23, 24 pound range. But I know that there's usually that can even take a few weeks before I do that. But I'm not doing anything differently. Um, so we'll see how it goes. Still on our challenge. We still have our challenge at work. One of the guys is catching up to me. I think he's 21 pounds. And then the guy behind him is at 17. There's 5 of us on my team. And the deal is the way that we win is the collective percentage lost. over the period of time. I think we're in a 90-day. I think it's a 90-day challenge. Anyway, I need to break through that 23 pounds. All right. Well, happy birthday this coming week to my baby brother Brad on February 28th, same day as my grandma Gladys McDonald. Brad was born February 28th, 1974. 11 years younger than me. Brad, happy birthday, Brad. An engineer now. And condolences to our friend Aaron Bartell. Aaron, you may recall, founded and runs the Running to Honor event every year up there in Michigan. And unfortunately, his mother passed away last week, February 22nd. And she had endured a bout with cancer, and she passed. So, Aaron, we're thinking about you, buddy. All right. Well, let's see. Hat of the week. Hat of the week. Ken, I know you've been wondering hat of the week. I didn't have a particular hat of the week. I just brought this one down to wear at my Warriors place. So I think I've worn this one before, and this is one Daryl likes and has one. So the old Strategic Air Command hat is the hat of the week. How about that? All right. Well, let's move on. I didn't pull any this week in military history items. I just got, of course, we've been busy and everything, so I didn't do that. So if anybody has a notable military history item for the week, put it in the chat there and let us know. Okay, we're on to the Veterans Cemetery Challenge. Let's see if I got them all right. Now, Daryl, I know Daryl went to Jefferson Barracks at least once that I know of, and that was yesterday. And since we last met, and of course, Daryl visited his wife Wanda, who's buried there. But Daryl went on a special mission for me. Back when I flew up to St. Louis just before Christmas, Daryl and I went out to the cemetery, and I had heard that a coworker of mine's father had just passed away, and I wanted to get out there and pay my respects to him, and we did. But he had passed away so recently that there was no headstone there yet. So I asked Daryl if he next time he was out there if he wouldn't mind going and take a picture of me. Her father, it's Juanita Logan, is my coworker, and her father served in the Navy, and Daryl sent me a nice picture, and I forwarded it on to Juanita. And Daryl, she said to pass on her appreciation and thanks to you taking your time to honor her father. So thank you for completing a successful mission there, Daryl. Thank you very much. Daryl has done several things like that for me out there at Jefferson Barracks, and I tell you what, I appreciate it. All right, and Jim Miller. Jim did his customary visit to the Omaha National Cemetery this past week, and visited our co-worker and fellow Air Force veteran Todd Vanderwerken. Got a story about him in just a second. And also, speaking of the withdrawal from Afghanistan, which I didn't mention, but I alluded to, the Marine Corps Corporal Dagan Page, who was one of the 13 killed, and Jim pays his respects there regularly. So thank you, Jim, for doing that. And but Todd Vanderwerken, he worked at the same company as me. I helped him get on board. Well, I didn't help. He did it all. I just recommended him. But anyway, our careers have followed each other over the years. We first met in 1982 at Keesler Air Force Base, and then we both ended up getting stationed at Offutt. And then I went overseas, then came back. We were back together again at Offutt, flew on the glass together. And then when we got out after the Cold War, we were among a group of a lot of us that got out, and we ended up going downtown to work at First Data Resources, it was called at the time, in Omaha. And quite a number of us ended up working there. The skills translated very nicely, but Todd blazed the way for many of us to get on out there. So we worked together out there for quite a bit. And then after a few years, I left and went to a local company in Omaha, integration company. And I was hiring engineers, and I hired Todd, hired him away from First Data. He came to work at MSI, it was called at the time, and we worked there together for a little bit. And right about the same time, we both left and went to work at Cisco Systems. And I moved to Atlanta to work for Cisco, and he ended up working for Cisco for a little while, and then he bounced around a little bit to some other Omaha companies. But anyway, about I guess 8 years ago, or 7 or 8 years ago, I asked him if he considered coming to work at WWT, and he said yeah. And anyway, he did, and he was working with us when he passed. But that's boy, it's rare that you spend that much time and you're that closely aligned to somebody for 40 years. And I sure miss him. And every time I've been back since his funeral, I make a point of going out there and seeing him. And what a great guy. Well, at work, he made such an impact on our business and our customers and coworkers that they in the Omaha office, actually the whole Midwest, they created an annual award in his name, the Todd Vanderwerken Award, and it goes to the individual or team that exhibits the characteristics that Todd had. Can you imagine that, having an award named after you for people who live up to your standards? It's just an amazing thing. And this past week, they named um, the two men that work together as a team. They named them as the recipients of the annual Todd Vanderwerken Award. Man, that's incredible. But miss that guy. All right. Well, let's see. So Daryl made a visit. Jim made a visit. Lori made a visit to Georgia National Cemetery. The weather's beautiful right now. We've been getting some rain, but Lori put some new flowers out. They look great. They're blue flowers, which I think she said she's never put this blue combination out there, but they look really good. And and then I mentioned we heard about this Civil War cemetery that we're going to try to look into here. But so that makes three visits for the week. So three visits takes us to a total visit count of 574 visits to 151 different veteran cemeteries. So how about that? Good job, folks. And then on to the Thank a Vet Challenge. We had some good visits this week. Katie, thanks for getting yours in at the last minute there. I got it documented. But we had a total of 13 visits this week. So Jim thanked the gate guard at Offutt this week. Daryl, in an interesting story that you can read about on Facebook, reconnected with a guy, speaking of people that you served with, reconnected with a guy, John Hutchinson, they call him Hutch, that Daryl worked with, served with alongside in Hawaii and other places. What, Daryl, 40, almost 50 years ago, right? And through their career, they reconnected. And that's just a great story. My dad thanked a Marine Corps vet. Those Marines have a way of sniffing each other out, but Dad thanked a Marine Corps vet on the train. What's the name of the train, Dad? They took the train to Plains, Georgia. There's a train that runs. You can take it. It goes to Plains, Georgia. Then you get to see all the Jimmy Carter stuff there. And then he did that with my sister Sharon, her friend, and my sister's granddaughter. What's her name, Lori? She's Kaylee's first daughter, a little blonde-haired girl. Addison. Looks like they had a good 57 years. See, look at that. Daryl is still in contact now with a guy that he served with 57 years ago. How about that? All right, let's see. I think I got a chance to talk with one of the, we interacted with a lot of vets this weekend, but I'm talking about substantive conversations or whatever. But I got a chance to talk with a guy who is in that Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association, and he's a friend of one of my coworkers who's also in that group here in Tampa. So that was one for me. And then Lori and I together had a Hillsbury County Sheriff's deputy. One of the things on the one of the things on the scavenger hunt was to get a picture with a law enforcement officer next to their patrol car, and we did that. Although the guy wasn't too excited about it, and we didn't let him. But we didn't let him. We were bound and determined. He wasn't too excited about it. He was trying to wiggle away. So I've got somewhere to go, and but Lori got up and stood beside him, and I took the picture before he could get away. So that was a Hillsborough County deputy sheriff. We also had to. One of the challenges was to if you get a certain amount of points if you get a picture with a service member in uniform. And I thought, okay, well, where are we going to do that? There's two places on a Saturday that we're likely to find that. One's at a recruiting office, and the other is at like a National Guard drill. What do they call them? Armory or whatever. Well, we got to looking around. We found the recruiting office. We made it there. It's the reason we were late and got some points deducted. But we found that. Listen to this, Dad. We knocked on. You got extra points if it was an Army service member because her son Cody was Army. So we went to the Army first, rang the doorbell, knocked on the door, nobody answered. So I said, well, let's go down to the Air Force. We went down they're in the same complex, different doors. We went down to the Air Force. Well, nobody answered. We went to the Marines. The sign out there and said, doorbell, knock on door. So we knocked on the door, and this sharp young man, Marine recruiter, answered the door. How can I help you, sir? And just as nice as could be, came out, took a picture with us. It was awesome. Now, the catch was he wasn't in his uniform. Their uniform of the day was civvies with a Marine Corps polo on the weekend. And I thought that might happen, but we didn't get any points for that. But man, it was nice to meet that guy, and just the most accommodating and nicest guy. But the Marines, you can count on the Marines always being available. The Army and the Air Force, nowhere to be found, or they were ghosting us. They didn't answer the door. But the Marines were there, so that was fun. Then, of course, we thank Bill, John and Molly, Dick, and then David from Texas A&M. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that Lori and I had. And then the one I had 7, Dad had 8, Daryl 9, Jim 10, and then Ken had a nice story about an Air Force vet that he met at the Sam's Club, and had a nice story. You can go look at the Facebook page, but they had a nice encounter there. And let's see, Katie had 2. Katie had 3. 2 vets at the Kroger, that's my favorite place to run into vets, and then 1 at the urgent care. That's my least favorite place. And so that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. It's 15, not 13. So 15 means 1,284. 1,284 thank yous. That's 1,284 times that a vet or a service member or law enforcement officer has heard from a citizen who I appreciate. I think that is a good thing. I need to update that count here. What did I say? It was 15 was the count. So let me change that. All right, I'm going to be accurate because I've got to add those next week. Add to that next week. Okay, so good week for the Thank a Vet Challenge. And organizations, the organization of the week is My Warriors Place. Great work they're doing here. I tell you, that motorcycle group, though, they donated, I guess it was right before Christmas, maybe. They had a bunch of fundraisers, and they raised enough to buy a side-by-side. You know what that is? It's like a four-wheeler, but more robust, and kind of a work vehicle. Well, they bought one and donated it to Kelly. And this time at the at the event at the Harley place, they donated $3,500 to My Warriors Place. So those guys, those Combat Vet Motorcycle Association guys, are serious. But yeah, the other thing is, let's see. Yeah, I mentioned we'll be out here again. 21 people, counting Amanda. And Amanda, let me know if you bring any others with you. I already got the shirt, so I've got some extra. So if any more of your team comes out, we should have plenty of extras. I had to get them ordered so they could ship them from St. Louis. But yeah, so we'll be here doing that. I don't know exactly what we're doing yet, but I'm supposed to find out tomorrow. And like I mentioned, and I'm looking forward to that. And it's really interesting that the Reach Across America 2022 theme is find a way to serve. Find a way to serve. And there's lots of ways to serve. Everybody has a unique talent and skill, and brings different things to the table. And that's I couldn't think of a better theme for the year. It's like the Ronald Reagan quote that I always talk about. He said, "We can't help everyone, but everyone can help someone." That's kind of the same there. But I think, we did have a couple of fatalities this week. Unfortunately, um, we lost a Huntington Beach, California police officer, Nicholas Vela. I don't remember the circumstances. And then we had a non-combat related incident in Niger where we lost a young Air Force member, Staff Sergeant Dennis Melton. And then my dad posted on the Speaking of Zane Facebook group, you may have seen this, where he saw an article about a group of high school seniors on the baseball team were instrumental in they laid to rest a retired Air Force vet who had no family, unaccompanied. Like we've talked about a number of those over the years, but this was a group of high school seniors on the baseball team in Alexandria, Louisiana, and they stepped up, and their coach taught them all about what they needed to do, and they gave this guy a proper send off there. Wow, what a great story! I need to go back and look at the details of that story, but incredible. Well, Ken, I hadn't seen that one, buddy. Thank you for sharing. 4 Navy contractors in Hawaii in a helicopter accident. Wow. That's a shame. I didn't see that one. That's a shame. I did see earlier this week I think they were Utah National Guard Blackhawks were coming in and doing some maneuvers in the mountains, and they both came in and landed in a snowfield, and helicopter rotor downwash and everything. The snow, it was a whiteout basically, and one of the helicopters either tilted over, hit the ground, or hit something, and the rotor blades and everything came apart, of course, and they flew into the tail rotor of the other helicopter, and it went down, and both helicopters ended up crashing down in the snow, and nobody was killed. Everybody was okay, but wow, in the footage, somebody had videoed it. But yeah, what we talk about, I mean, combat is inherently dangerous, and preparing for combat, if you prepare like you should, is going to be dangerous too, and those are examples of it. Okay. Well, Lori, did I miss anything, or did anybody else? Did I miss anything? I always feel like I do. I did miss something. Um, Speaking of airplanes, our son Jackson, who's an Air Force veteran, um, completed his first cross-country solo yesterday. Yeah, that's a big milestone in your private pilot's license journey, and there's been a couple of attempts, but the weather hasn't cooperated. And finally, yesterday, the weather was well enough. They have to do all their own planning, all their own everything. And it's a solo flight, so he took off out of Kennesaw, where his flight school is located. And what did I say, Lori? Jackson. If I didn't say Jackson, I meant to say Jackson. Sometimes I say Zane when I'm thinking about Jackson, but Jackson, Jackson, our Air Force veteran son. So he flew from Kennesaw to Athens, Georgia, and turned around and came back and did very well, and even managed to take a couple of pics. And his wife, Caitlin, who, by the way, has been sick for about 3 weeks or so. She just can't seem to shake it. So Caitlin is his wife's name. Anyway, Caitlin was standing out in the yard, and they must have coordinated this, but Jackson flew over their house on his way back to the airport in Kennesaw, and Caitlin was able to get a video of him flying by. Yeah, I'm so proud of that guy. I mean, if you knew him as a kid, he didn't speak the English language until up until the age of 5. He spoke this thing we call Jackanese, and autistic and all of that. And you guys know that by now. What all he's done: served 4 years in the Air Force, a gunner on AC-130s, now a pilot. I mean, it's just an incredible story. But yeah, so I'm glad I didn't forget that, Lori. That's a great milestone. Now he's just got to get comfortable, and I think the next step will be his check ride, and he'll be declared a private pilot, and he can move on to the advanced stages of training, which the GI Bill will cover: all instrument rating, multi-engine, all those things. So good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Well, I've enjoyed it. From here, Lori and I have one of our favorite places, My Warriors Place. I tell you what, if you have never been here and you find yourself down in Florida, and even if you don't have plans, I would tell you that this is a place worth purposefully visiting sometime. But we get here and we just sort of relax. Well, except when we're doing a scavenger hunt, and then we're at each other's throat. But it's a calming place, and this is the perfect time of year with the weather and everything. So we're looking forward to maybe having a couple of little excursions this week. I don't know, Lori. I know Lori's free to do whatever wherever she wants, and she may do some things. I'm pretty locked in with some commitments. I have 4 classes I have to teach. That's the thing that's really holding me from really breaking away too much. Is I'm committed to 4 different classes I have to teach across Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then of course I'm taking Friday off. But so that's the name of that tune. But I tell you what, I'm so glad y'all are here. I can't thank you enough. Next week we will not have Speaking of Zane on Sunday night. I will give plenty of notice, but we'll be driving back. I don't know what time we'll get back. I guess it depends on what time we get up on next Sunday. And so I don't want to push it. We did the same thing last time. We ended up just moving it to Monday, and that took the pressure off, and we didn't really have to worry about getting back at any particular time. So we'll let everybody know about that. And we've done it on Monday before, and you guys have participated. So thank you for that. But have a great week, everybody. Make it count. Thank a vet. Check on your buddies. Don't take anything for granted. And we'll look forward to seeing everybody next Monday night for Speaking of Zane. I think we're up to 182. Next week will be our 183rd Speaking of Zane. All right, everybody. Have a great week. See you next week.